The Delta M12 galaxy hummed with tension, its skies streaked with the faint trails of retreating alien ships, all converging upon the headquarters of the Council of Galactic Species. It was rare for every faction of the Council to gather in person. Holograms flickered on the raised platforms, depicting the faces of leaders from every corner of the known universe. These were no ordinary times. Whispers echoed through the chamber of an impending threat of force spreading across galaxies, capable of devastating entire star systems with surgical precision and cold detachment. Word of this terror had traveled quickly. It was rumored that the humans, a relatively isolated species from a quiet corner of the universe, had somehow evolved into a war machine capable of survival against every threat the galaxy had ever known. While most species leaned into technology or diplomacy, humans had honed warfare into an art. A murmur rose from the council as Zarin, the high-ranking general of the Shin Empire, took his place. Known for his tenacity and bravery, Zarin rarely hesitated in battle. But this time, a shadow of doubt flickered in his alien eyes. Intelligence reports from the Zin's last frontier patrols were being transmitted. Onto screens in front of every leader, they displayed unknown vessels of sleek, terrifying design human battleships, armed to the teeth and ready for war. "I will not entertain more rumors," Zarin began, his voice deep and unwavering, trying to quell the fear rippling through the council. "Until recently, humans were little more than a footnote in galactic history. And now you tell me, they've suddenly become unstoppable." One of the council's diplomats, a small and nimble creature from the Saran sector, responded nervously. "General Zarin, they destroyed 4 of our outposts without hesitation. Each strike was executed with precision. We have seen species who battle with ferocity, but these humans, they seem to anticipate our every tactic." Zarin clenched his jaw. The Shin Empire had always prided itself on its warriors. Fear was not in his nature, but the reports coming in had shaken him. The humans seemed to operate on another level, capable of adapting their strategies and weaponry faster than anyone had ever seen. Outside, the skies were darkening, and across every screen in the council chamber, a single, chilling image displayed. Human ships positioned at the edge of council territory, their silhouettes like the cold eyes of predators watching their prey. "This is no myth," Zarin finally admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "The humans are here." And, as if on cue, the screens flickered, signaling an incoming transmission. Human vessels had just crossed the boundary into council space. Zarin felt a surge of fear that was foreign to him, but there was no time for hesitation. If this was war, they would meet it head-on. The alien armada awaited on the border of council space, a last line of defense hastily assembled to confront the human fleet. Each ship was loaded with the best technology the council could muster, from shield disruptors to ion cannons capable of tearing through even the most resilient armor. Aliens of every kind manned their stations, their eyes wide and anxious, hoping that numbers and superior technology could overwhelm the newcomers. But as the human ships arrived, each one moving with a sleek, lethal precision, the first doubts began to creep in. The humans wasted no time. Within moments, energy beams and missile barrages erupted from their vessels, aimed with unnerving accuracy. The initial shockwave destroyed the first line of council ships, scattering debris across space in a bright flash. Zarin watched from his flagship, struggling to keep his composure. The humans didn't fight like any species he had ever encountered. There was no hesitation, no scattered chaos, just a calculated, relentless assault. He commanded his squadron to fan out, hoping to flank the human ships. But before they could even begin, the humans anticipated their movement. Human missiles adjusted course, tearing through the left flank with ruthless efficiency. The council's fleet had been prepared for a long, grinding fight. But these humans fought with a speed and brutality that left the aliens scrambling to respond. It was as though the humans had studied their every tactic, rendering each move predictable and futile. The bridge of Zarin's ship shook violently, sparks flying from shattered control panels. His crew scrambled, trying to keep the ship functional as wave after wave of attacks battered them. In a desperate attempt to regroup, Zarin ordered a retreat, but even as he gave the command, his screen flickered to life, and an image appeared. A human commander stared back at him, her features sharp, her eyes colder than the void itself. She wore no expression of triumph or mercy, only a calm, clinical resolve that seemed inhuman. "This is Commander Alara Hayes of Earth." Her voice echoed through Zaren's bridge, cold and devoid of emotion. "You are outnumbered and outmatched. Surrender, and we might consider sparing your lives." The bridge fell silent as her words lingered in the air. Zaren felt a surge of anger, but also fear. He could see in her eyes that this was no bluff. Humans did not fight for territory, wealth, or glory. They fought to dominate, and they were unmatched in their resolve. Zaren knew the council had no choice but to respond with a show of strength. But as he looked into the commander's unyielding eyes, he realized what they were up against. These humans weren't warriors, they were predators, and he could feel the ice-cold certainty of his doom seeping into his bones. As her image faded from the screen, Zaren knew the council would have to gather every resource they had, every ally willing to fight, for this was not just a battle, it was a fight for survival against a force that did not know fear, only victory. After the devastating first encounter, the Council of Galactic Species scrambled to fortify their defenses, pooling resources to counter the seemingly unstoppable human fleet. Zaren and his allies convened in a hidden stronghold deep within the icy reaches of the Nebulo sector, desperate to salvage what was left of their armada. Each species contributed its most powerful assets. The Arcnarians, masters of stealth and cloaking technology, deployed a fleet of invisible ships. The Threll, known for their nearly impenetrable armored scales, arrived in droves, their brutal tactics legendary across the galaxy. The Council felt a flicker of hope. Surely, humanity could not withstand the full strength of a united galaxy. But Commander Hayes had anticipated this gathering of forces. On the bridge of her flagship, the Resolute, she studied the alien fleet's layout with the same methodical precision that had broken her previous adversaries. She knew the aliens' desperation would lead them to reckless moves, and she was prepared to exploit each one. With a mere nod, she gave the order, and the human fleet split into two. One group feigned retreat, luring the Arcnarian cloaked ships into an ambush, while the other closed in on the main alien fleet with devastating force. The battlefield became chaos incarnate. The Arcnarian ships, priding themselves on invisibility, were detected by Earth's advanced scanning tech and dismantled before they could regroup. Threll warriors roared as they launched their close combat ships toward human vessels, confident their scales could endure any attack. But the humans' plasma weaponry burned through even the Threll's armored hulls, each ship reduced to fiery debris in seconds. Zaren's heart pounded as he watched his allies fall one by one. The humans seemed to possess an inexhaustible arsenal, adapting to each species' unique strengths as though they had studied alien biology and technology for generations. In a last desperate move, the Council ordered a retreat, hoping to regroup and rethink their strategy. But the humans showed no mercy, pursuing them with relentless speed, decimating the Council's forces with each passing minute. As the surviving ships limped toward the outer edge of Council space, Zaren activated his private transmission to the Council leaders, his voice tight with frustration and fear. "They fight with a knowledge and brutality beyond anything we've faced. They don't simply want to win, they want to eradicate us." In an attempt to slow the humans, the Council authorized the deployment of a bioweapon, a deadly pathogen designed to attack human DNA, which they unleashed on a captured human battleship. For a brief moment, the Council dared to hope. Casualties were immediate, and human ships fell silent. But within hours, the humans had adapted, deploying specialized suits and modifying their ships to neutralize the pathogen. Then came the crushing blow. The humans reverse-engineered the bioweapon and released it on the retreating alien fleet. Panic erupted among the Council forces as they scrambled for countermeasures. But the humans' speed and resourcefulness were unmatched. Zaren knew then that this was no ordinary adversary. Humanity was a relentless, unyielding machine, and they would not stop until their message was clear. The galaxy was theirs to claim. The last remnants of the Council's forces gathered in a deep space outpost on the desolate moon of Iroth. Zaren, bruised and exhausted, took stock of his crew's dwindling numbers and prepared for what seemed like an impossible fight. He knew the humans were tracking their every move, and he realized that their only chance of survival lay in abandoning traditional warfare. A plan formed in his mind, a risky, high-stakes attempt to infiltrate the human command ship and steal intelligence that could expose a weakness. With the Council's reluctant approval, Zarin assembled a covert team of survivors, skilled Arcnarian saboteurs, Thrall soldiers, and stealth engineers from the Shin Empire. Under the cover of a feigned surrender, Zarin and his team boarded a shuttle to infiltrate the Resolute Commander Hayes' flagship. The Council's fleet would create a diversion, sacrificing themselves to give Zarin's team enough time to locate and sabotage the human control systems. Once on board, they moved quickly, disabling human security systems and advancing through the ship's dark corridors. Each step brought them closer to the heart of the ship, where they hoped to plant a virus capable of corrupting the human fleet's central intelligence network. But as they approached the ship's core, alarms sounded. The lights blazed on, and within seconds, they were surrounded by human soldiers, weapons drawn. Commander Hayes herself stepped into the hallway, her cold gaze landing on Zarin and his team. She studied them, not with anger, but with something more chilling: curiosity. "I expected a last-ditch effort," Hayes said calmly, her voice devoid of fear. "But I had hoped for something a bit more creative." Zarin could sense her calculating every move, every weakness in his team. He raised his weapon, but Hayes did not flinch. Instead, she smirked, a rare expression of amusement that Zarin found deeply unsettling. "We allow you to flee every time, hoping you'll warn your leaders," she continued, her voice barely above a whisper. "You see, we're not here to conquer. We're here to unify under humanity's command." In a flash, Zarin realized the chilling truth. Humanity had allowed each escape, each transmission, as part of a larger strategy. They were not hunting the Council forces to the brink of extinction. They were driving them toward one inevitable conclusion: submission. Desperation surged through him. In a last-ditch effort, Zarin activated the explosive device his team had brought, a blast powerful enough to take down the Resolute. But Hayes merely smiled, her calm eyes reflecting the red lights of the activated device. Before Zarin could react, she waved her hand, and a human technician neutralized the device's signal, rendering it harmless. "Run," Hayes whispered, stepping aside to let Zarin's team through a nearby hatchway. "Tell your people what you saw here. Tell them to prepare. Humanity is coming." With no other option, Zarin and his team stumbled toward the hatchway, escaping just as human guards began closing in. They fled down the narrow corridor and launched their shuttle, narrowly avoiding the firepower of the Resolute's weapons as they returned to the safety of Council space. But as they looked back, the message was clear in Hayes' gaze. She had let them go. This wasn't victory, it was a warning. And Zarin knew that no fleet, no alliance, could withstand what humanity was bringing. As he transmitted his report back to the Council, Zarin's voice shook with a terror he could barely contain. "Prepare yourselves. We are not fighting conquerors or diplomats. Humanity is something else entirely, force that neither fears defeat nor death. They are coming for us, and we are the prey." The message from Zarin reverberated across the Council of Galactic Species, igniting urgency and terror. Aliens of every race, former rivals and foes, united for survival. Every resource was pooled into a colossal fleet at the boundary of Council space. Warships from the mighty Shin Empire, cloaked Arcnarian stealth units, and armored Thrall battalions formed a final line of defense. This was the last stand. On the bridge of his warship, the Resolute, Zarin stood, worn but resolved. If humanity wanted the galaxy, they would have to take it by force. The human fleet appeared on scanners, blotting out stars. Leading them was Commander Hayes, her flagship moving with a predatory calm. As her image appeared on alien monitors, she declared, "This is humanity's moment. Join us, or be extinguished." The Council leaders responded through Zarin, vowing not to submit. The silence hung like a held breath. Then the battle began. Human ships fired with precision, leaving trails of fiery destruction. Plasma beams ripped through Council formations, but the Council held their ground. The Thrall warriors launched boarding parties. Cloaked Arcnarian ships dropped bombs behind human lines. But humanity adapted, dispersing and countering each new tactic with chilling speed. Zarin watched the battle, his allies moving in concert for the first time. For a moment, the humans met resistance that held, but Hayes soon deployed enormous, weaponized drones that tore through Council defenses, forcing the alien fleet to split. The tide turned quickly. Humanity's advance, relentless. Zarin, refusing to surrender, readied his ship for self-destruction, determined to take down as many human ships as possible. As he prepared, a flash of light signaled Hayes's image on his screen. Her voice was calm, respectful even. "You fought well, General. But resistance is futile. Humanity is the future. Live or die your choice." Zarin hesitated, his eyes falling on his desperate crew. With a heavy heart, he ordered his fleet to stand down. Ships across the galaxy powered down in reluctant surrender, Hayes's gaze a silent warning to every survivor. In the aftermath, as humanity's fleet encircled Council planets, Zarin grasped why humans were feared. They did not just conquer. They adapted, evolved, and dominated. They were survival incarnate, relentless and unbreakable. A chilling truth settled across the stars: the reign of humanity had begun. The galaxy would forever remember why humanity was the most feared species in all universes.